Pancham.
Dashika read the post now. Now should I start now?
Yes,
Yes.
Pancham, please start.
That's fine. Good evening to everyone joining us today. Generation Z, born with the internet, is the perfect traverse between humans and technology. Keeping the current situation of the global pandemic in mind, internet, social media, and streaming services, technically known as OTT platforms, have become a part of every child's life. In fact, every individual's life. Being active on the internet is easy, but to maintain our privacy is of our utmost importance. Thus, I am delighted to inform you that today we have been joined by Mr. Pankaj Doval, Senior Editor, The Times of India. He will be discussing with us the new set of IT rules which came into effect on 26th May 2021 and its controversy with Twitter. Firstly, I'd like to invite Principal Ma'am to say a few words.
Thank you, Pancham. Thank you so much. And Mr. Doval, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And I understand the evenings are very busy for the media people because they have to write their stories for the newspapers, etc., etc. And for you, finding time in the evenings is a little more difficult. But then thank you so much for agreeing to kind of, educate our children on the new IT rules. I'd been following your stories on Twitter for more than 2 weeks now. And trust me, more we read, more quizzed we are that what it is, why is it, why not this, why not that. And our children are so much into the social media these days, be it be their schooling, be it be their chit chat with friends, or they don't read newspapers actually, they read news on their computers. So there's so much on social media and internet. I thought it right that it is important to educate them so that they don't make mistakes and they know the rules, why so, why not so. And more than any other thing, they utilize wisely the time they spend on internet. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. And may I request you now to take the session forward?
First of all, thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. You've been very proactive in such kind of activities. I think it is very useful for students to at least know what's happening around them, and especially over the internet, because we are all consumers of internet, and we should know why the government is doing, what is the government doing, and if companies have some kind of opposition to what is being done, what is the kind of unpleasant thing that companies find. So thank you, Meenakshi ma'am, and thank you to the teachers of BIRLA Vidya Niketan for holding this session. To be honest, I'm really glad to be sitting between students because generally my interactions are more with the government, be it the ministers or the bureaucrats or the companies. But I think students are the future of the country, and it is very important that we have informed students. With all this phenomenon of work from home, study from home, entertainment from home, the children are exposed to social media in a big way. I'm not so sure about how many students are actually using social media unsupervised under the age of 18, in the sense using Facebook or Instagram or other kind of modes. But I guess directly or indirectly through their parents, most of the children know what social media is, and they are active participants out there. So I guess we all need to understand what these rules are and why are these being done. So let me just start with how all these things started. So the deliberations around this started around 2 or 3 years back, that social media has become very big, and we need certain kind of hygiene factors for people to actually be on social media and operate on social media. There should be some digital rights of users of social media, and also some responsibilities on companies, because many of these companies, the WhatsApp or a Facebook, they are American companies. They are based out of US. They launched their app over here, but in many cases, they didn't even have an office in India. So they had subscribers of 40 crores or 50 crores in India, but with no office in India. And obviously, the government was concerned that how do we go about it? And I remember that it was February 25th to be precise. I was in Goa. I was in Goa for a beautiful. I had to drive a car, a new Mercedes car, for a test drive. And suddenly I get a call from the government that the new social media intermediary guidelines are coming. They will be out this evening, and so I need to be prepared. Obviously, it was a big news for us, and I had to leave everything behind. I had to rush back to Delhi, and I filed the story. I read the rules while on flight. And the moment I landed in the airport, from 6 or 7 till 11 in the night, I was sitting at the airport and filing my story. So basically what the government did was that the government made additions to the IT Act of 2000, year 2000. So we are governed by the Information Technology Act of year 2000. And this act, obviously, as things have been changing, this act needs, supplements to fall in line with what is happening around us. And so in 2021, the government added some rules, and these rules were basically for intermediaries. Now, in technical terms, they're called intermediaries, and you would say that why a student needs to be bothered about rules made for intermediaries. Then what are intermediaries? So intermediaries are any platform. It's any digital platform which basically enables people to come together, give their views, talk about what they feel, how they feel, post pictures and things like that. So if you look at any such platform, there are intermediaries like a Facebook. There is an intermediary like a YouTube. There is an intermediary there's an intermediary called WhatsApp. So all these platforms are basically social media intermediaries where various people come, they talk to each other, they make friends, they give their views about public and, about any government decision and things like that. If you look at Twitter. And so the government, so these are the big social media intermediaries, and the government wants that, as they get bigger and bigger in this market in India, there should be certain rules and, there should be certain statutory norms under which these intermediaries function. Now, the thing is that why would a government come and tell us what should be the rules for these intermediaries and how they should govern? Anybody would say that, please, the government should be kept out of it. India is a free country. Companies are coming. I am going and talking on a social media platform or intermediary, as they call it. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm saying things on WhatsApp. So why should the government be bothered about it? And this is unnecessary government meddling. Many people would say that, government is trying to control everything. Government does not want people to give their views and things like that. So, while this view has its own, argument and debate, that's a very separate issue about government meddling and all. But there were certain reasons that the government actually started coming and defining rules for the social media intermediaries. And we should understand why the government is trying to do something like that. So what happens is, as we are all posting stuff on social media, I may be writing something on Facebook, you may be writing something on Twitter, on Instagram, or wherever. The government is also troubled by the problem of fake news. The government faces problems because of unlawful content. There is inflammatory content. There is financial fraud. There is incitement of violence. There is threats to public order. For example, somebody may say that schools will be open from tomorrow. Please report to school, otherwise your admission in the school will be cancelled. It may just be a fake message put on social media. Everybody starts following it. What is happening? What is happening? And finally, we find that this was a piece of fake information. And government, does not know what to do. Why was Twitter allowed to post, allow something like that on its platform for a long time? Why didn't they take any action? Or if Twitter, even if they're informed about it, then what did Twitter do, or what did Facebook do against this fake news? There is unlawful content. Sometimes there are obscene pictures that are posted on these platforms. And as such, there is no redressal, because there is nothing in the law that would force these companies or that would prompt these companies to take action. So that was the reason that the government said that let us frame some rules which would actually empower users of social media. So users of social media could be me, could be you, could be your parents, could be I don't know, so the students who are allowed to use social media. And the government said that let us form certain rules that actually give some powers to these users of social media, that in case they find something which is not right, if they find something which is unlawful, or if they find any information about their own self which is not correct, they should be empowered to at least inform the social media, and the social media companies should be mandated to take action. Right now, what happens is a Twitter or any of these companies, Facebook, they're all American companies. Their headquarters is in America. And so if I have to post any kind of a complaint to these companies, I don't even know where the grievance officer is sitting. I have to write somewhere that, boss, I'm having some problem with this kind of a content. This is not right. Now, where do I go? Would any of you actually know that where do we need to go if we have any complaint against any content posted on social media? If supposing somebody has posted a wrong content about your school, and you want that platform to know, you want Facebook, if it's on Facebook or if it's on Twitter, you want to tell them that this is wrong information, where will you go? We have no answers. Maybe you know that the company, that they have an office in India, but the India office is basically for sales. India office is not meant for content. So if you go to the India office, they will say that my job is not about content. Everything related to the content on the platform is controlled by a head office in America. So if you come to me, I am only here as a reseller. I am here to take ads. I am here to do other stuff. My job has got nothing to do with content on my platform. And this was the problem that the government was increasingly facing. That government got complaints from sometimes women that wrong content had been posted about them on social media, from organizations, from companies, that there were trolls writing wrong things about them, but they didn't know how to take action. So the government said that, okay, let's define rules for intermediaries or large platforms. So the government divided into two categories, and the more important category concerning people like us is the significant social media platform intermediaries, SSMIs. So these are platforms that have more than 50 lakh subscribers in India. And obviously, many of these platforms like a Facebook or a Twitter or Instagram, these are all significant or large social media platforms. Then the government said, let's define rules for them. And how do these guys operate in India, how do they govern? So government said that these rules are basically meant to prevent abuse and misuse of users on social media, because we all are free to write what we want to write, connect with our friends. But if there is anything wrong, if we are being abused, or if we are trying to abuse somebody else, writing something wrong about someone, so that someone should have a right to tell the platform, please take it out. This is not correct information. And, I am being harassed like this online. And so the government said that these rules are meant to basically prevent abuse and misuse of users on social media. So the first thing that the government said among these rules, the rules which were announced on February 25th, and the government told these companies that in a matter of 3 months, so by May 25th, by the end of May 25th, you need to have certain things in place so that now you will be more responsible to your users. So what were these rules doing? If I just go one by one. So for example, if there is any content which is which borders into obscenity, or which is a wrong content about any women or any girl or anything like that, and if it is there on being posted on social media, spread, or spread on these it goes viral on social media platforms, the person and if it is brought to the notice of the social media platform, for example on YouTube, if some wrong video is going or something wrong is going, and if those platforms are informed, they have to take down that content mandatorily within a period of 24 hours. You can't say that my headquarters in US, it is they will take 3 days to take notice of this, or they will take 15 days or 25 days. Government has said that if there is any content that is disparaging towards a woman or a girl, if it is wrong, it has to be taken down in a period of 24 hours. Otherwise, you will face action. So obviously, this empowers the women of the country, that in case there is anything wrong posted about them on social media, it has to be taken down, and it has to be taken down fast. The outer limit is 24 hours. The inner limit could be as soon as possible. So the government said that any such kind of thing has to be taken down in a period of 24 hours. Then the government said that if there is any content that is inflammatory, if it is supposing, if there is a content that tells people to, fight with each other, if there is something about some religious content which is saying that this religion is bad or that religion is bad, or they are saying that, somebody is doing this, let's go and create some violence, or any kind of content that it creates, that disturbs public order, that is against the country. The government has said that that kind of a content has to be taken down in a time frame of 36 hours. If a court says that, or if the government feels that this content is wrong, the content has to be taken down in a period of 36 hours. Government says that we do not want any trouble because of wrong information on social media. And so if any such kind of notice is given to you about some certain content, please take it off within a period of 36 hours. Then there's a very contentious proposal, which is there, not a proposal, but a rule now within the new guidelines. It says that if there is any kind of inflammatory content which is being spread on messengers, for example, on WhatsApp, we all have seen viral messages go viral on WhatsApp. And sometimes these messages have led to riots. For example, somebody may say that and it's a fake message. Somebody may say that somebody is hurting some kind of an animal, or somebody has desecrated a temple in some place in Uttar Pradesh or Haryana or any place in the country. And then, they are calling people, come, let's take action, let's take revenge and this and that. And that is a fake news. At the end of the day, even if something like that has happened, that is the responsibility of police or law and order to take, they have to take action. The action needs not be taken on a social media platform. But what happens is such kind of fake messages go viral on instant messages, and nobody knows who sent the first message. So I may send a very wrong message saying a temple or something, there has been some damage to some religious place, or there could be some other thing, some other issue, and I may spread that message to one, and that person spreads it to another, and then it becomes a viral message. And it actually incites people to get up and take up arms, or they say that we'll resort to violence to take our revenge and this and that. Government says that for such kind of messages, which are inflammatory messages, which are fake messages, and such messages create disorder in the society, we need to know who started the messaging first. Who was the first originator of the message? Government is telling WhatsApp, we don't want to know what people are talking between themselves. I mean to say, private messages between me and my friends will remain private. Government is saying, we are not saying that we want to read the messages, but in case we find certain viral messages which have created to riots, which have created to a situation that have disturbed the law and order situation, then we will come to you with the message that this is the message which led to all this. Please tell us who was the first person who created this kind of a nuisance. So government has said that we want to know the origins of such a message within a period of 72 hours. Who was the first one who sent the message? This is a very contentious issue because WhatsApp is saying that my messages are encrypted from point to point. I mean to say, if I'm sending a message to my friend, only my friend can see what the message is, and then that no other person has got access to it. So WhatsApp says that if I trace the journey of the message, then privacy of users will be disturbed, and so I will not do it. So we'll come to this point also. So this is one of the other proposals that the government is doing. Then the government says that you also need to set up a grievance redressal mechanism for users. If you want to empower your users, that I was saying that if there is anything wrong about women, that content has to be taken down in 24 hours, or if there's a wrong unlawful content, that has to be taken down in a period of 36 hours. Similarly, government says that if somebody feels that something wrong has been written about them on social media, so if they file a complaint, you need to give an acknowledgement of the complaint in a period of 24 hours. And then you need to tell them what action have you taken on their complaint in a period of 15 days. So they should be knowing that if a complaint has been filed, if I file any complaint to any social media platform that something wrong has been written about me. So they should first of all acknowledge that complaint in 24 hours and take action on that complaint in a period of 15 years. I mean to say, they may say that the complaint has no merit, or they may say there's a merit, but they have to give a written answer to me in a period of 15 days. Then importantly, the government said that these platforms have to appoint a chief compliance officer in India. So such a the role of this compliance officer is to ensure that the platforms, the social media companies follow the rules, and this compliance officer will be responsible for that. And this compliance officer has to be based in India. He can't be somebody sitting in America who's like at a time gap of 12 hours from us and things like that. So that person has to be a resident of India. Government said that you need to have a local nodal officer who will coordinate with the law enforcement agencies. The government said that you should have a resident grievance officer. So if you go on any of these websites, you go to Twitter, you go to WhatsApp, you go to Facebook, now they will have a resident grievance officer whose job is to take the grievance, to listen to the grievance of the users, of people like you and me. If we find some content which is not right, we can write to the grievance officer, and the grievance officer has to be based in India. So government said that you need to have a nodal officer, you need to have a compliance officer, and you need to have a grievance officer. And these officers cannot be somebody sitting in America. They need to be there in India, who need to be here as per our time zone. If I'm complaining at 8 a.m. in the morning, so they should get the complaint at 8 a.m. in the morning, not 8 p.m. in US time. Because then their day has ended and they will say, I was sleeping, and next day after 12, 14 hours, they will respond. So government said these 3 officers are mandatory and they need to be residents of India. Then the government told the companies that you need to submit a monthly compliance report, about the complaints that you've received and what have you done with those complaints. How many complaints did you say were right in their merit? How many complaints you rejected that they were not right? So you have to file a compliance report with the government saying that this is what I got from my users, from people like you and me, and this is what I have done. Then the government, the rules also say that people like you and me, the users, should get an opportunity to be heard. For example, if supposing Twitter or a Facebook suspends somebody's account, so government says that if those platforms are doing something like that, they need to give a reason to the users that why have I taken this action. There should be some reason at the end of the day. I'm somebody because of which the platform is there. And so if they're taking any action against my account, then I should be informed that what is the reason that Facebook or a Twitter or a YouTube is doing this. If a YouTube takes away somebody's YouTube channel, it shuts it down. So then YouTube has to tell them in a period, in a defined period, that what have been the reason, why did we do that? Because you as a user now have a right to know what has happened. And if you don't know, then you have a reason to complain to the grievance officer, right? And then the government has also said that, the government has also said that once every year they should inform the users of the rules and regulations, the privacy rights and things like that. So broadly, these were the intermediary guidelines that the government got out for social media companies. And as per the government says that these rules and regulations were brought in to empower users, to prevent abuse and misuse of these platforms. I would say to prevent misuse and abuse of users on these platforms. So basically, as per the government, these have been given to help people like you and me, and maybe your school's own account and things like that. That if there's any fake news, if there's anything wrong on the internet, there should be somebody in these companies to answer back to you. There should be somebody in these companies to at least address these concerns and get back to you, rather than you saying that these companies are in US, I don't know who to complain to. So broadly, these were the rules. Now, how did trouble start? Like what all did you, whatever you've been reading in papers, what all is that? So, trouble started on 2 counts. So first of all, WhatsApp went to court. So from May 26th onward, these companies were expected to have 3 officers in India: the nodal officer, the grievance redressal officer, and the compliance officer. And none of them appointed any of these officers. Government was obviously not very happy, and the government said that the rules say now mandate that you need to have officers who have to listen to complaints. You have not appointed. We are now free to take action. And the platform said that officers are one thing, but there are many clauses in your new rules that we do not agree to. So first of all, WhatsApp went to court, and WhatsApp said that if I have to tell you about the person who first sent the origin of the wrong message, the message that went viral, fake message or wrong message, unlawful message, if I do that, then I will have to break the encryption. So encryption basically is a technical word, but basically encryption means they are saying that I will have to break the privacy of a user. So if I send some message to my friend and my friend sent it third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth, WhatsApp says the way we have made a platform, we would never know who started the message because we are not tracking that chain, because we want to protect the users on our platform. We do not track them and we do not track the messages they are sending and that how those messages are going forward. So they are saying we have no idea, and if you will force us to tell who gave the original message, that means I'll have to track the users and their messaging, not the content, but the chain of messaging. And this way I will violate the privacy of my users. So WhatsApp has gone to Delhi High Court, and WhatsApp has said that I will not give this origins of this message because I feel that this violates the privacy of the users on my platform, and so this is something that I do not agree. So the matter is in Delhi High Court. Obviously, the government says that whatever it has done has been done with the right intention, but the platform says that no, I do not agree with you. If I do this, then I will violate the privacy of my users. The second issue came from Twitter. So Twitter had a very different view. Twitter said that the government by making all these rules, government is trying a dangerous overreach of its own powers. Overreach means the government does not have powers to interfere in the working of platforms like this, and you are trying to take more powers than what is defined to you by the democracy. And Twitter said that the government is forcing us to block content, whatever it wants. So as per Twitter, it is indirectly trying to say that sometimes the content is completely right, but the government, because of various reasons, it may not like somebody in the opposition party, somebody who's not with their own party, and the government wants their content to be blocked. So Twitter is saying that you are trying to muzzle free speech and free expression of people, and we will not do that. And so Twitter did not go to the court, but Twitter gave out its views in the media and saying that the government is forcing us. The government is saying that it will call our officials to the police for questioning. The government is trying to intimidate us, and the government basically wants us to block all content that it does not like. It is not only about unlawful content, but Twitter was trying to say that the government also does not want any kind of criticism about its own workings. For example, if somebody is not happy with the way the government has handled the second wave of corona crisis, somebody is angry that the government did not provide medicines, government did not provide oxygen, and if somebody writes about it on Twitter, so Twitter is trying to say that these kind of messages also, which may be very genuine in their content, in their messaging, but the government may not like. So the government will also force us to block such kind of messages, and this is a threat to the freedom of speech and expression in the country. Government obviously said that this is not right. Twitter is trying to dictate its policy, not we. And so this matter also led to an ugly altercation between Twitter and the government, though Twitter has now agreed that it will appoint officers in India and it will look at the demands of the government, though it is still not clear whether they will take down all kinds of content that the government will ask them to take down. So broadly, these are the social media intermediary guidelines. So I told you that the guidelines primarily are aimed at empowering the users, giving them rights, giving them a platform for redressal, giving them a platform for complaint, giving them a platform to get wrong information about themselves or generally which is wrong to be taken out of those platforms. But the flip side of this is, while many of these things are right in the way they are framed, the opposition parties or many social media activists, and these guys say that by these powers, tomorrow the government may tell these platforms to block whatever they don't like. Because while many of the things that the government wants to be taken down are related to users, but tomorrow the government may also, the fear is that tomorrow the government may ask them to take down content which the government does not find which disturbs the government. I mean to say, somebody may say, why are the farmers protesting? And the government does not want people to talk about farmers' protests on social media. So it may tell a Twitter, it may tell a Facebook, block this content. So social media activists say that this is an overreach by the government of its powers, and the government will tomorrow ask these social media platforms to block whatever content they don't find suitable or they find uncomfortable, they are uncomfortable with. So the activists say that by these rules, the government is trying to muzzle free speech in the country. So if you and I have certain views, for example, on how badly the situation, Corona situation was handled, people were not getting medicines, people were not getting hospital beds, or people, that I'm not happy with the way farmers are being treated. And if I say something on social media and the government will not like it, the government will tell Twitter to ban it, to block it, and then Twitter will be forced to do that. So social media activists say that by this way, the government is trying to, control speech and expression of the users, of individuals, of organizations, and the government is trying to muzzle the media. The government is trying to muzzle the speech of ordinary citizens. So broadly, these are the rules. I think there's too much of monologue. I would love to take questions because let me also add one more thing, that apart from this, the government, we are also working on a new data protection rule. We do not have any data protection law in the country. Apart from these rules, the government is saying that we will have a data protection law, separate data protection law for Indians. How our data is used by these companies, how our data, that's a totally separate discussion. Maybe we'll have some other day. So data, all these companies get fantastic valuations. Mark Zuckerberg in a period of 10, 15 years has become the world's third, fourth largest, richest person. So what is the reason for that? Because whatever you and I are doing on these social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and things like that, companies are constantly monitoring our data. They're constantly harvesting this data. They are getting into data analytics, and they are just trying to pinpoint what will we do, what will we buy, how will we buy, where will we travel, and accordingly they are sending us ads and they are sending us too many things. And so the government wants to see that whether the data can be picked up freely by them or it is my data. It has to be consent based. So the new data protection law is going to look into these gamut of issues. This is still in the works. It is in Parliament. It is with a standing committee, and the government wants to pass this data protection bill very soon. Apart from that, the other issue that we have with regards to social media platform is WhatsApp's new privacy policy. That is also, you would have seen that WhatsApp has been asking people to agree to a new privacy policy. That policy allows WhatsApp to share data of our communication with business intermediaries. For example, a hotel, we're making booking with Taj Hotels through our WhatsApp, or we are buying stuff from Modern Bazaar through our WhatsApp. So those kind of conversations, WhatsApp wants to share with Facebook so that Facebook can look at targeting ads and whatever. So that again, the government has said that we will not allow, and WhatsApp is fighting that also tooth and nail. Broadly, this is the framework about social media companies that is happening in the country right now. I would love to take as many questions as possible. Please feel free to ask any kind of question. Thank you. I can't hear you. Sorry.
So am I audible now?
Yeah.
So some students from our school would like to ask some questions to you now. I would like to invite Arsh from 11th to ask this question.
Yes. Have the new rules been introduced because social media have been showing great impact on the citizens? And if yes, then how will the new rules try to reduce this impact?
So as I said that social media companies have become very large. So you would see a WhatsApp has more than 40-45 crores subscribers in India. Our population is 130 crores, so 40 crores roughly are on WhatsApp. And in a day, I think we would be sending roughly more than 200 crore messages, or even more. I don't know the number, but imagine if 40 crore subscribers are sending even 5 messages. That is roughly 200 crore messages. So we are the country with the largest user base of WhatsApp in India, and we are sending so many messages. So is the case with an Instagram. So is the case with Facebook that has got subscribers in crores. So obviously, broadly, the government says that it is bringing out these rules to give some kind of a, to empower these users. As I said, if they have any complaints, if they have any grievance against these platforms, so they can go ahead. They have a right to now ask these platforms to answer those grievances. So broadly, it was like that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So as you said that the Indian market is one of the biggest markets for these all social media platforms. So do you think that all these, like if Indian government asked them to do something, so do you think they will be ready to do anything? As India is one of the biggest markets.
Something and anything, तो दोनों चीजें ही थोड़ा सा, I would say, these are all very open-ended kind of statement. If the government asks them to do something, will they do anything? See, it has to be governed by a very defined set of rules. Government has to, if the government wants to ask them something, it has to be as per a procedure based on certain aspects. If it is something that disturbs communal harmony, if there is unlawful content, if there is content that has the potential to disturb public order, if there is a content that is against the friendly relation with different states, if there is a content that is that disturbs the security and the integrity of the country, so on certain grounds the government has rights to ask them something. Again, they are bound to take directions from the government, but even then they also have legal right to go and challenge these things in court. So government it's not like a police state that if they order it has to be done. Obviously, there's a defined set of rules under which the government or anybody else can approach them for any kind of complaint or redressal. Obviously, they will look into those complaints and they will take action. If they don't want to take action, they can go to the court and say that this is like WhatsApp has gone. That this kind of one provision of tracing the origin of the message, I don't agree with this. Please give me an answer. So that matters in court. So something and anything is different, but under defined set of rules. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So now Yash from 11C would like to ask his question.
Good evening, sir. I'm Yash, and my question is specifically who will decide what kind of content is suitable for public viewing on social media platforms? Because opinions can differ from person to person.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Who will define? But there is generally a certain set of definition that is there. Obviously, a content which is obscene in nature, first. A content, as I said, that disturbs public order. A content that is that poses a threat to the safety, integrity, security of the state. A content that is against friendly relations of India with other countries. So, under these rules, or a content that is inflammatory against any individual, for example, if somebody is posting a wrong content about you, for example, or a content that leads to any obscenity on these platforms, obscene content and things like that, nudity. So, broadly, there is a set of rules. This is not only for the social media companies, but it's there in our under Indian Penal Code also, that many of these things are unlawful. I mean, say they would lead to some kind of a police action by the police or authorities. So it is basically that set of content only, fake news, these kind of things. So broadly, that is there. And at the end of the day, if supposing the government tells them to do something, or if I or somebody else, you tell them to do something, the platforms understand themselves that this kind of a content is of a nature that needs to be taken down. Let me also add here that the platforms also have a very robust content moderation policy of their own, because these platforms are operating across the world and they understand that this is a set of content that should not be allowed. For example, child pornography, or for example, inflammatory or unlawful content that is against, that is inciting hateful hate, or violence against each other, against communities and all. And so their own content moderation policy and their own, I would say they use AI, they use machine learning and all to identify this kind of content, right from the nature of the pictures to the keywords in those content. So the moment supposing there is anything mentioned about child pornography, immediately it will be flagged off by the computer itself, by their own programs also, and immediately it will be blocked. So you will not see, and they are blocking a lot of content on their own. You try and post something wrong, it will be immediately flagged off by them, because their AI will catch them. So they are also constantly, their machine learning and their artificial intelligence is learning every second about wrong content, and they have their own galleries and libraries, huge libraries that has references of such content. It will be blocked immediately. But broadly, who will decide means, I mean to say, some content we all know is wrong. Some content which is disputable, they will take action or they may refuse to take action and tell the government that we don't find it wrong. And if in case you insist that this is wrong, then we will go to court. Or sometimes they block only in India. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And please feel free to tell me if it gets a little technical in nature. I am trying to simplify as much as possible.
No, sir, it's totally fine. Those terms are very simple. Yes, sir. So now Aryan Sharma from 11th A will ask this question.
Yeah, hello, sir. I'm Aryan. So my question is, what if content posted on the internet is seen as unfit from the eyes of one community, but acceptable for another? Will sites have to take down this content globally just for that one community?
So it depends. What is, again, this word like something, anything unfit for one community. It depends on what kind of content are we talking about. For that matter, even on a television, we see people eating one kind of meat that may not be that prevalent in India, but nobody is blocking that. But if there is a content which is actually trying to incite violence, if it is hateful about any religion in some way, if it is saying that, this religion does this, and if it's wrongly saying that, then obviously, it is not that difficult to understand that this is a content meant to create panic, meant to create disturbance. And, these have to be taken up on a case-by-case basis. It is very difficult to say that if there's one content which is not, which is about one religion finds it fine, the other does not. It has to be taken on a case-to-case basis and understood that what exactly is the content. And only then can we decide, and that is why government is trying to put certain checks and balances also, that sometimes it has to be based on the orders of a court and things like that. So, broadly, this has to be a judgment on this can be given based on what exactly is the content in front of you, rather than just giving a blanket statement that if it is good for one religion and if it is not good for the religion, what will happen? People are, as a Hindu, I may say that I will go and during Kumbh, not during this period, but generally when there is no corona, I will go and take, I will go and have a bath in the Ganga. And some other religion will say, no, I don't find this important. So it is on our faith. That is something that doesn't hurt anyone. But if somebody says something very wrong, maybe that's wrong. So it has to be taken on a case-by-case basis. There's no clear answer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I'd like to ask that, are there any measures put in place to ensure that tracking of messages on these platforms like WhatsApp will happen only for the given reason, which, like the reasons which the government is stating? Because when we users know that, my question is that, are there any measures put in place on the tracking of messages on these instant messaging platforms like WhatsApp? Like the tracking will not happen for anything else apart from the said reason. Because when users know that we are being tracked and a chat can be read by some third party, we will lose our sense of privacy.
So first of all, let me tell you that all the messages, personal messages that we engage in on social media platforms, at least on a WhatsApp, are completely encrypted, right? So if you are chatting with your friend on a message or on video calls, they are completely encrypted. And if I know a little bit about technicalities, I'll tell you. So if I am sending a message to you, so my message goes to your phone number, and then your phone number creates a very special one-time key to open that message, because it is meant for only for your phone. So your phone will create that key, that message will open on your phone, and then after that, that key will be destroyed. So with apart from you, nobody else has got the has any knowledge of that key. So nobody else can open that message because that key has been destroyed. Even WhatsApp can't see what you are sending. There have been cases where a few months back you saw Bollywood chats being released, WhatsApp chats being released on social media, but that was not because of WhatsApp. What happens is our WhatsApp data generally is stored. We store our WhatsApp data on servers. Sometimes it says that you want to create a record of this on servers, because if I'm changing my phone, I want my WhatsApp data to come with me. So then that data is saved on servers and it has leaked from those servers. If you're not saving those data on any server, then your and my chat are completely encrypted. Nobody can see. Nobody can see at all. Government, what it's trying to say is that government is saying that by asking who started this miscreant, the wrong message, I'm not saying I want to read the message of that person. I'm saying that there is a viral message saying that chalo bhaiyo yahan par jaake danga karen. And this message has gone viral in a particular district, say in Rajasthan. And you'll see that those guys have gathered to create some kind of disturbance now in the society. Government is saying that I will come to you with that specific message. This is the message. I'm not even asking you to give me the message. I don't want to read any message. I will come to you with that message, that this is the message. Now, can you tell me who started spreading this message first? I just want the chain. I do not want to know what Pancham wrote anywhere, and I would not even know if 100% was actually spreading the message that Pancham started first. Government is saying that we are not trying to tell you that break privacy rules. I don't want to read anybody's personal message. I will only come to you with a message which I feel is wrong and was given to create some kind of trouble in the society. I will come to you with that particular message. I will not say read anybody's message. I will say this is the message. This has created problem. I want to know who was the first one who started spreading the message. So I just want to see the chain, basically. Who started the message first? WhatsApp is saying that I will even not give that, because WhatsApp says the way it has made WhatsApp, the architecture of WhatsApp is such that it does not trace the movement of message from various people, because then it says I am tracking the person who are sending messages and I am violating their privacy. So government is saying that if this is the problem, you create some other technological solution so that you do it in some other way. But at least for certain messages, once we flag it off to you that this is the message that led to a disturbance, please tell me. Otherwise, your message to your friend is completely encrypted. It can be leaked only when you're saving those messages on a server. And from those servers, it can be leaked. But if you don't save that on a server, your messages with your friends or whoever is completely encrypted.
Thank you, sir. So now Praveen from 11th would like to ask this question.
Good evening, sir. So my question is that wouldn't these rules give authorities more power to intervene in the public life?
I will answer that, but I also want some girls to ask questions. I only see boys asking questions. Where are the girls? So please get some girls also.
Yes, sir. So there is a question by Arshia Chauhan on YouTube that these new IT rules.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Should I answer Praveer first?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Praveer, sorry, can you ask again?
Yes, sir. So my question was that wouldn't these rules give authorities more power to intervene in the public life?
See, it is not a matter of giving power to the authorities. Obviously, yes, it empowers authority in a certain way. Nobody has denied that. But as the government says that it is also empowering users of social media. As I said that today, if somebody says that Praveer has done something wrong and posts a wrong picture of you doing something, morphs a picture of you, and you want that picture to be removed, how will you do that? You don't have any power. I mean, say you don't know who to write to. Facebook is based in US. Facebook India will tell you, boss, we have nothing to do with content. My job is to only sell ads. This is what the real situation is. Where will you go? So the government has now said that these guys have to have officers, grievance redressal officer. So if you complain that my morph picture is being put on social media, so they have to acknowledge your complaint in 24 hours. And they have to take action in 15 days. And if it's a girl whose wrong pictures are posted, they have to take it down in 24 hours. So while it does give some powers to the government, and this can be debated, but it is also empowering the crores of users on these platforms. So I think that is more important. We all need to know that it is empowering users also, and this is very much required. So now they will have a grievance redressal officer in India. They will have a compliance officer in India, and they will have a nodal officer who will talk with the law enforcement agencies in India. So it is very important.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
A viewer from YouTube, Arshia Chauhan, has asked that are these new IT rules applicable only to companies outside India, or they are applicable to our very own Indian Twitter too?
Absolutely, they are applicable to all the companies. So no rules are made that is applicable only to a foreign entity and not to an Indian entity. So be it a coup, be it any other platform that is there in India, the rules are same. Except that yes, a large part of the responsibility of these rules also fall on the significant social media platforms. As I said, significant social media platform is any large platform. And what is large? Large is anybody with more than 50 lakh subscribers. So anybody who has more than 50 lakh subscribers is a significant social media platform. And those platforms have a lot of mandates on them, new mandates to be answerable to their users. Like I said, WhatsApp has got more than 40 crores. I'm talking about 50, more than 50 lakh. WhatsApp has got more than 40 crores. Facebook will have in crores. YouTube has in crores. Twitter has in crores. And so I'm sure even who would be having in crores now. So any large company, be it Indian, be it American, be it Chinese we've already banned for various reasons. But all these companies will have to comply with it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So now Subhaji from 11P will ask this question.
Hello, sir. I'm Shivaji. So, sir, my question was that I read online about these rules also applying to news publishers, OTT platforms, and digital media, and can also have their content taken down. If so, how will this affect the consumers, and how will these services cope with the rules?
So yeah, absolutely right. This is not only about social media companies. This was also for OTT platforms. This was also about digital news platforms. So there the government said that, for example, if it's a digital news platform, government said that there should be some kind of a regulation under which they have to do their duty, because any wrong news has the potential to create disturbances. Supposing if I say there is a riot happening in Delhi, one community is fighting the other, it has the potential to create riot in so many other parts of the country, because those two communities will say, okay, now I will avenge this in UP, Rajasthan, wherever, in Andhra Pradesh. So the government said that there has to be certain kind of guidelines and regulations even for social media, so digital news platforms. Because there are guidelines even for newspapers. So if I'm in a newspaper, there's a Press Council of India. If anybody has any kind of complaint against any newspaper, against any news platform, so you can go and complain to the Press Council of India, and Press Council of India decides whether the complaint is valid or not. For television companies, news broadcasters, there's a News Broadcasters Association. So government said even for digital media, there should be some kind of a regulation that under which they would be accountable. So government said that's a soft touch regulatory regime that they are trying to bring in. And the government said that first of all, they should have their own regulator within their organization. The second phase should be a regulator, which should be a regulator of the whole body, digital players. And thirdly, if still it is not sorted out, then it should be a third phase should be a regulator who's a retired judge or something like that. So for digital news platforms, it is like that. And the same kind of three-phase kind of a mechanism, it mandated for OTT platforms as well. Any kind of Netflix or Amazon Prime and things like that. The government said that even for that, it should be either a self-regulatory regime or then finally led by a platform that is headed by a retired judge or something. That if anybody has any grievance, so you can approach these forums like that.
Another question, sir. So these regulations and these regulators, they will they be appointed by the service itself, or will the government have a part in appointing them?
Like for digital media and for OTT, the government has said that many of these guys could be appointed by them from members amongst themselves, but certain members would be there from the government also. So obviously, certain bit of government presence would be there, which is even there in Press Council of India and other places. So some bit of government representation would be there, but government says that we are looking at a soft touch regulatory regime, which is led by their own bodies and their own companies.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So now Aryan from 11A will ask another question.
Okay. So, sir, another question is, will there be any repercussions to spreading fake, hateful, or illicit content online, or will the content only be deleted with no real life repercussions?
Obviously, there would be repercussions. There should be repercussions if somebody is engaging in something wrong. And the thing is that if, as per the government says if we can identify who has been spreading this kind of a thing, the first step is to take off that content from that platform, because it should not spread further. And once the government can identify who is the miscreant, who's trying to do an unlawful activity by spreading fake messaging, fake news, and things like that, then the law will take its course. Then the police will step in. Police will go and arrest the person or question the person, and things like that. So those kind of things will happen. That kind of a thing is there. So repercussions would be there in terms of law and order situation also. Again, I would ask if there are any girls who have any questions, please. My daughter studies in this school, Anushka. So anybody who wants to ask a question, even girls.
Can I ask a question?
Please, please.
Okay. So, it's not anything, not much related with the act or the rules, but do you think that increasing the cost of bandwidth and data usage and all will affect the misuse in a positive way? Because see, it is so cheap that people are using this WhatsApp and other social media thing for entertainment purpose. And I'm not targeting, I'm not focusing at people who are wanting to do it as a crime, but majorly like, school students who use it by mistake in a wrong manner out of innocence, because they've got this data in abundance. It's very cheap. So no one is saying that you stop using it. So maybe if it is costly, the parents will also tell them not to misuse, and there'll be some kind of, taboo on that, or it won't affect.
See, having price control at a time when we are talking about democratization of data, I would say data should be cheap and data should be given in abundance to everyone, because we're talking about digital empowerment, education through digital education, digital health. Telemedicine camps sitting in Delhi, doctors can give consultation to people in the various states and all. It kind of defeats the whole purpose of digital India as we see it. And a lot of these things are basically also a factor of market forces. So if we see pre-Geo, like Geo came and actually unbundled all these things and unshackled the market. So pre-Geo, if the consumption per user per month, the data consumption was roughly on an average 80 MB. Today, as per the latest numbers, consumption per user per month is roughly 12 GB or even 14 GB. So from 80 MB to 14-15 GB per month per user. This is a huge quantum jump in the way people are consuming data. Data prices themselves, they have fallen from like 300 rupees per GB or even more. Sometimes they used to run in thousands if you went beyond your pack. Now it's like 6-7 rupees per GB. It's hardly anything. So obviously, this democratization of data has happened in the country. It is debatable whether it's right or wrong. I mean to say that we know data consumption, as we are talking about growth in consumption. Sometimes what is being consumed, the kind of data that is being consumed, the videos or anything, may not be very good. I mean to say it could be even pornography or other kind of stuff, and which is not right. Since I'm addressing school and students, I would always advise students, first of all, that they need to, they have been given access to these platforms because of various reasons, sometimes because of how we are studying in this times of pandemic, but they need to be digitally responsible. It is not only about getting access, you all need to be responsible. Please understand that whatever you're putting on these platforms is not just mere conversation between two friends, but these are globally available platforms which are always live 24/7. So please be responsible. If you can't say anything in front of your parents, if you can't put any picture, or if you can't utter any words in front of your parents, please do not utter those words online. Please do not put pictures online like that. Please do not share your own pictures online like that with people you don't know. Please do not be irresponsible. It is your duty first as a user of these platforms to be responsible users. You cannot be thinking that I can do anything on these platforms with a fake ID and I will not be tracked down. You will be tracked down. It will lead to law enforcement issues. And please, you need to be very, very digitally responsible. This is something which has been given to you because of the current situation, and also since India is digitally savvy country. But you have to be responsible citizens, even though you are not adult, you may be in your teens, but you have to be responsible citizens. Secondly, I would urge the parents that they have to have certain kind of supervision about how internet is being consumed by their children, because it is very important that parents maintain some kind of supervision. I'm not saying that you have to become a nanny for your children to just see everything that they're doing. It is not right that you have to be very strict on your children when they're using these platforms, but giving unsupervised access. When your children are going on the road, you always tell them to hold your hand. Similarly, when they are going on the digital highway, I would want that the parents should be equally concerned that the children, because they are young and impressionable mind, they should be told about certain do's and don'ts, and they should be told hygiene on social media, and they should be very responsible about how the social media has been consumed by the children, especially during night, especially in their private conversations. So they should be telling their children that this is good, this is not good. Anything that you cannot tell your parents, you cannot speak in front of your parents, and you're doing that privately, obviously should not be done, should not be encouraged. And just like children need to be responsible users, parents need to have a minimum, some amount of supervision and some amount of guidance for their children.
Very right, Mr. Doval, because rationing is not the solution always. It has to be digitally responsible people who need to look into this. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So I think broadly, I hope the children have got certain idea about these rules. These are technical things, and normally what sometimes also we are writing in papers, sometimes it may sound a little technical to children. But I hope some of these issues they've been able to understand, and please feel free to send any questions or queries in case children have. My email ID is dovalpankaj@gmail.com. So please feel free to send any kind of questions that you have. I will try and answer any questions. I like children who ask questions, because that is my job also. I ask questions and I would want children to ask questions, think. Personally, I would tell children, and my advice to children, Principal Ma'am said in the beginning that they are consuming most of their news from social media platforms. I would say that while you're free to do that, I would strongly urge children, please read newspapers. Please read newspapers. That is very, very important. We take a lot of pain to create that newspaper for you. You may subscribe to a digital edition if you can't take the physical edition. But please read newspapers. They give you a lot of news, which is not only trending, because on digital platforms, we are only reading about trending news. So if an Akshay Kumar is jumping from doing some big stunt, you'll see as that as the top news. But that is not the news that you need to know about your country. That is entertainment news. But we also have political news, we have sports news, we have stories of courage, we have so many things that we carry in our newspapers. At least read the front page of 2-3 newspapers, whatever it is, just consume. You should know what your country is doing, and at least try and read something about the opinion pages, because that gives you capacity for debate. You will understand the pros and cons of various important things happening in your country. So please read those newspapers. At least read Times of India, read Economic Times, because that's a business paper. Read a few newspapers. That is very important. We take a lot of pain to give you the right set of news, and this will help you in your career. I mean, say once you're going for college admissions, you don't need to brush up your general knowledge. You will already be very knowledgeable. Please do that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time for us from a busy schedule and enlightening us with your insight on the new IT rules and the various controversies going on right now. I'd also like to thank Principal Ma'am and teachers who are connected with us. and all the viewers on YouTube for being connected with us. Principal ma'am, would you like to say something?
Thank you so much. First of all, the club students for taking it forward, and the computer teacher, of course, Deepika ma'am. And Mr. Doval, thank you so much. We know that this 1 hour of yours was very important in terms of your own work, but you have enlightened us today with all the controversies that were happening around Twitter thing. And of course, the last message was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And I would just one request: next time, whenever something like this happens, I would like more participation from girls also. And thank you so much for this opportunity. It's really a delight to be between students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Deepika. Thank you, Pancham. Thanks.